out with the crew of Dino 305, and we are coming to you from the beautiful city of Pembroke Pines with the first elected public official who is Colombian and also the youngest in all of Broward County. Thanks so much, Maria.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot to talk about. Being the youngest, I'm sure there's a lot of responsibility, maybe even pressure that comes along with that.
A little bit.
But let's start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about your story, where you're from, and how did you and your family arrive here in South Florida?
So we came here in 2001, in December 2001, originally from Bogota, Colombia.
You were born in Bogota?
I was born in Bogota.
Really?
Yes, I was born in Bogota. Very proudly Colombian, still grow up in a household that makes ajiaco every weekend. Bandeja paisa, all of that.
We should have done this at your house
and we would have done ajiaco for everything.
Yeah, that would have been great.
So grew up very still entrenched in my Colombian culture and very proudly represent Colombia and the Colombian diaspora, especially in Broward County leadership. And my parents came here, my dad came a little bit before us, we came right after 2001, had the incredible privilege of growing up in such a great city like Pembroke Pines, and really had all the opportunities in the world here to go to school, to study, amazing public schools in Pembroke Pines. We also have some great charter schools, but I did go to the public schools here. And then actually had a really hard time deciding where I was going to go to college, but I felt like there was a not higher calling, but definitely a want to have a little bit more on the adventure side. So I ended up going to the American University of Paris in France for my whole undergrad career. And right before the pandemic, came back home after working about a year abroad and got involved in local politics.
So what made your family want to come to the U.S. in the first place?
I think the opportunity and the safety. Colombia in the 90s was not the safest place to be. Now it's obviously gotten a lot better and people go travel there all the time and it's a great country to visit. But at that moment, my parents felt that we would be safest here. My dad had done some research, really good schools, the opportunity to build businesses, and it's a little less, at that time, a little less competition than there was in Miami.
So what high school did you end up going to?
West Broward High School.
West Broward High School. What was Maria like, and what was the learning English like coming here, or did you already speak some English?
I did not speak any English.
Okay.
I used to come home, and this was kindergarten when I first arrived, but I used to come home and tell my mom, I think I'm dumb. I think I don't know what's going on because I don't speak the language, but it was thankfully to a really, really great teacher at Palm Cove Elementary. She was Colombian, and she actually was able to help me not only learn, but have that empathy and that care for me, because she would do translation. She'd just give me a little bit extra support that I don't think I would have had if I didn't have someone who spoke my language.
And you ended up at West Broward High School. What was Maria like in high school? What were you
A nerd.
Yeah, nerd?
She was a nerd. A very type A nerd. I think I've loosened up a little bit as an adult, but very into my schoolwork, very oriented into AP classes, dual enrollment, all of that stuff.
So no parties, nothing crazy?
No, nothing crazy.
At what point do you decide, you know what, I want to get into this political kind of life? What did you major in?
I majored in politics. Well, in international
political
politics.
Science? Okay,
yeah.
International. So you already kind of had this kind of
Yeah.
disposition to being involved in the political space. So you get back here. Why come back to Pembroke Pines?
So I came back here because finding a job abroad without legalization or without, like all of that stuff is really hard. You have to have a company sponsor you, like all of that stuff. So that was definitely a hurdle that I felt like I could come across a little bit later on in life. And I said, I miss my family a lot. I'm very close-knit with my family, and I felt like 5 years away was long enough, and I was going to come back a little. So I stayed here in Pembroke Pines and started dating my now fiance, future husband.
Okay. That's
Thank you. It's pretty good. No, he's not French.
Not French.
He's Cuban American.
Okay. So you end up running. What was that experience like?
Very tough, but very meaningful and extremely heartwarming to be able to say that I wanted to be a leader within the community that I grew up in. And the seat opened up. I was running against 3 other people, but I was the only Latina, the only young person in the race, and I really kind of put on the position that I wanted to be a voice for our younger families. So I kept on asking myself, well, how can we build that bench? How do we build that step ladder forward into better and brighter leadership within Pembroke Pines that represents our Hispanic and our younger families? Why should I get involved in politics? Why should I pay attention to my city council? And that's a bit of what I wanted to change as well as a city commissioner, make sure that government is accessible. And that's a lot of what I talked about in my campaign. I happen to be your neighbor that makes policy, but nonetheless, I'm your neighbor. And I grew up here. I understand what people were going through, especially as a younger person, renting rather than buying, like the different dynamics that we take on as younger people. And I felt that was like a really good reason to run and would kind of touch the hearts of other people and engage them in the way that they hadn't been engaged previously. And so when I did run for office, that was a big portion.
So you have to tell us what is next for Commissioner Maria Rodríguez here in the beautiful city of Pembroke Pines.
I would really like to pursue transportation overload basically here in Pembroke Pines and assure that everybody has a good way of getting to and from work or extracurricular activities or even city events, that it doesn't mean standing in the hot sun over, waiting for a bus, and making sure that we do have that connectivity and those resources available. Overall, one of my bigger goals in this role is to make sure that our residents know that we're here for them, and that government works for them. I think sometimes we focus so much on what's going up in DC and we forget that the impact of our local government is so much greater in our everyday lives than anything that they might be doing in DC. And so when we have that focus and people realize it's your local government that picks up the trash, it's your local government that fixes the potholes, it's your local government that potholes are nonpartisan. It's all of those dynamics that do impact your everyday life. It's your schools, all of that. And it's so important for people to be engaged, for them to know that it's your neighbor. And I'm very happy to listen to any kind of feedback that people may have, because that's ultimately what our job is. And making sure people, I always give out my cell phone number, I give out my email, I give out my social media, all of that, because it's just as easy. Shoot me a DM. Tell me something that you're seeing within your neighborhood. I go around a lot within my district, but I don't know exactly where every pothole is. You have to let me know. And so making that government as accessible as possible is really what we're going for.
Well, Maria, can't wait to see what you do.
Thank you so
much. À la
much.
prochaine.
Merci.